Senator, thank you very much for spending the time to have this conversation.
It's good to be with you.
So you've come out for regime change in Iran, as distinct just from taking out the nuclear sites. What does regime change look like in Iran?
Somebody else in charge.
How do you get there?
Look, that ultimately has to be a popular uprising from the people. And
we're just talking about this, aka the CIA. Look, this ultimately has to be a popular uprising of the people, which we will force upon them to do.
It's not a complicated question.
Why are we asking this Texas senator about what the people of Iran want to do with their land, their resources, and labor? Why does he get to decide?
Is America better off with a country that has a leader who hates us and wants to kill us?
Wants to kills us? They wants to kills us! Look, let me just dispense with the Islamophobic rhetoric now, okay? They hate our freedom. Wait, don't say that. That doesn't work anymore. They have weapons of mass destruction. No, can't say that. They might have weapons of mass death. They could have weapons of mass death in a number of years, maybe.
Or to have a country with a leader who likes us and wants to be friends with us. And
definitely.
How about having a country that we just don't intervene and just allow them to self-determine under international law, which is afforded to them under international law? No. Everybody must be friends with me. And if they're not going to be friends, we're going to make them be friends. We're besties.
Like the latter's better.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so that's not a complicated statement. Look, I believe you look across the world when you have countries that have dictators that are viciously anti-America. Venezuela, Maduro hates us. Would we be better off?
These people aren't dictators. They're socialist, populist leaders that are speaking on and implementing policies that actually, God forbid, benefit the people of these countries. And it's funny that he's going to go ahead and say that, let's look at Venezuela. Vuvuzela. I mean, come on, it's a shit show. Yeah, why is that? Because Venezuela is the most heavily sanctioned country by the United States. We've sabotaged them a number of occasions. Sometimes it's successful, sometimes not. The CIA is heavily involved in Venezuela. They most recently tried to coup Venezuela in 2021. And that's just going back just 4 years. It's always incumbent upon a U.S. senator to look at the countries that are devastated by the United States and its foreign policy and to ridicule and blame them for it. And anything that is antithetical to U.S. interests, as Noam Chomsky was just saying in this book, that is the enemy. They are T-words. They're dictators. Remember, I just got through telling you that capitalists love dictators. We've installed so many dictators around the world. There's nothing more that Ted Cruz loves is a dictator in a third world country. Of course. It's just got to make sure that that dictator allows the people that Ted Cruz represents to allocate the resources of their country for capital accumulation for American corporations.
With Maduro out of power? Absolutely. I want our enemies out of power, and I want our friends in power.
I could not agree more. The question is, how do you get there?
Of course.
And we've been trying to kill Maduro for quite some time. We have troops there.
I don't know that we've been trying to kill Maduro.
We have. And I think you know that. And
I don't know that.
Okay, well, as a statement of fact, we have. So
we do have massive sanctions. We try to pressure him out of office.
Yeah,
I'm not aware of that.
I'm just saying there's a lot of pressure coming from various parts of the U.S. government on that government, and it's still there.
Yeah.
Same, the country of our ancestors, Cuba, 1959, we've been working on that. Hasn't worked. So I think we both agree it's hard.
Gosh, it's so tough for us to really go in. He's talking about some of the worst instances of international terrorism conducted by the United States. He's like, gosh, it's hard for us. We really try to do all these crimes, and then it ends up bogging us down. We got bogged down in Vietnam. Look, that was not popular. Okay, and certainly we want to be able to control the third world. Of course, we want to be able to control these countries. The question is what's it gonna cost us? What's it gonna cost us? That's the liberal criticism of U.S. imperialism. It's we wanted to do these things for noble aspirations, but it cost a little too much
to do.
It absolutely is hard. And look, I think you're reasonable to ask, how do we produce that? And I think there's a distinction between what your objective is and the means to get it. There are all sorts of things I would say.
Look, not only am I a baby, but I am a fat baby, and I can't grow hair on my chin. I've been trying for many, many decades. I've been trying to grow hair on my chin for as long as Iran's been trying to have a nuclear bomb, okay? I'm from Texas.
say we would be better off. We'd be better off in China without Xi there. Should we invade China and topple Xi? Of course not.
Better off with no national debt.
There are lots of things.
Totally.
But it's good to say, all right, what are our objectives?
Right.
He's like, look, should we go into China? I mean, maybe not. And Tucker's like, well, maybe you should just focus on your own economy. He's like, look, China has a big economy, and that's a threat. Should we go in and, I don't know, invade China? Probably not. He's like, yeah. Tucker's like, yeah, maybe you could, I don't know, focus on your own economy. Try to get better.
So with the Ayatollah in Iran saying you're for regime change, I don't view as complicated. I mean, the guy literally leads mobs chanting death to America. So that's not good.
Definitely not good.
Wow, that's big if true. Also, I love the consistent theme of all liberal America, of which Tucker and Ted, do not get it twisted, they are both absolutely 100,000% liberals. But liberals will always pearl clutch at rhetoric that is antagonistic towards the United States while sanitizing the conditions that created the impulse for that rhetoric to exist, to be a slogan, to be a theme. So I see no difference between that and, what the Houthis have been enduring and the things that they say, the rhetoric that they say, or what another H group in the Gaza Strip might say about Israel. Liberals love to look at the phenomena isolated from itself. They don't understand causal relations, cause and effect. It never occurs to a liberal. It's not economically beneficial to have a liberal start thinking about why these so-called radical extremists adopt such austere rhetoric and antagonistic language against the United States. Don't look beneath the hood. Don't look beneath the surface. Can you believe what they said? And then we say, well, look what you did. Yeah, no. We had a right to do all those things. But look what they said about it. Look how they view us now.
But the reason I think it's important to get a little more detailed about how that might happen is because there's military action in progress, which we're supporting. And the president has said clearly, including last night, that he is focused on eliminating the capacity of the Iranian government to produce nuclear weapons. You are saying we need to use military force to effect regime change.
I have not said that.
Oh, I must have.
No, I have not said that once.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Let me your please.
Okay. I don't think we need to use military force to do regime change. I said I support it. I would like to see it happen. You asked me how should it happen? A popular uprising. What I've advocated for. All right, let's
look. What I've advocated for is a popular uprising that we funded through NED and U.S. aid. Some of those popular uprisings are what we need. Okay.
Step back a second. You and I, we've known each other a long time. I would say we agree on about 80% of the things on Earth.
For sure.
And
that's not a good look to agree with Ted Cruz here. 80%, huh? Look, we're both white supremacists, neocon imperialists. Let's not get it twisted, okay? You drank the Kool-Aid, Tucker, just like I did, all right? Says Ted Cruz. You're just as much incriminated. Don't act like you're such a prude, Tucker.
There are a lot of things, and we can get into the nitty-gritty of foreign policy as much as you want.
I love when senators talk in circles. Oh, this is so good. Yes, euphemize me, Daddy.
A lot of things on which you and I agree, not just a little bit, but violently.
I totally agree. I was rooting for you in your last campaign, for sure.
Well, thank you. Look, you have
10,000-yard stare from Tucker always. He's like,
we need to use military force.
I was trying to freeze frame it.
There are a lot of things, and we can get into the nitty-gritty of foreign policy as much as you want.
I totally agree.
Look at that. Oh, yeah. Thank you for giving me that cold sore, too, earlier, Ted. That was nice. You really showed me.
I was rooting for you in your last campaign.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, thank you. Look, you have been heroic
stroking you off
on the border.
Ted.
You've been one of the clearest and best voices.
Yep. You've had the thickest girth and the nicest, smoothest throat muscles that any man of your age and your stature has, kind sir. Thank you so much.
In the whole country on securing the border and on the absolute crisis we're facing. And in Texas, I see it and live it every day.
He's dying on the cross down there in Texas because of that border. Damn it, he sees it, he breathes it, he lives it every day. It's a tough time.
In COVID...
It's a tough time to be a U.S. Senator living in Texas right there on the border. And remember when COVID happened, I took my family on retreat. We went to a nice hotel on the beach. Had to get out of the country. Yeah, I know everybody was on lockdown. I know a lot of my constituents couldn't move. But, I'm a damn senator, son.
In fact, you may recall in the middle of the COVID lockdown, I was out walking my dog when the whole world...
We remember in the COVID lockdown, you taking a plane flight out of the country. Or no, was that during the freeze out? There was also a Dallas freeze out. It was probably both.
Was shut down and we were living in lunatic
He's been embarrassed so many times. I lose count.
times. And I called you and said, Tucker, your nightly monologues are the single best thing on television. I watch
Look, man, and look how far you've
them like an injection of crack. Okay, I'm mixing my metaphor because you don't inject crack, but you get what I'm saying.
What is this metaphor? We're supposed to think that this guy is talking some sense and he's talking about injecting crack. Look, listening to your nightly monologues made me want to boof amphetamines. God, it got me so horny. And I want to thank you for that. It was really great times.
Try.
No, I mean, you were standing up and speaking like, what the hell are we doing, in a way that we desperately, desperately needed. And so whether it's securing the border, whether it's the insanity of COVID lockdowns and the vaccine mandates, whether it is the Second Amendment or the First Amendment, you and I agree on a ton of stuff. The 20% where we disagree, I do think is meaningful. And it's mostly in the foreign policy space. And what I would say, if you'll allow me to get a little theoretical, and then I'm happy to get specific.
Yes.
For a long time, people had perceived two different poles of Republican foreign policy. There have been interventionists, and those have been people like John McCain and Lindsey Graham and George W. Bush.
And you were clearly in that camp. You just talked about intervening in Iran. Why are you trying to say that?
And there have been isolationists. And the most prominent of those have been Ron Paul and Rand Paul, and there are others. And people perceive those are the two choices. You got to be one or the other.
Isolationists are Rand Paul. Aren't these ardent Zionists? Isn't Rand Paul an ardent Zionist? Isn't Ron Paul a Zionist? This is the Overton window for you at work, folks.
I always thought both were wrong. I don't agree with either one.
He's an enlightened centrist. He's like, look, some people want to invade these countries and some people don't, but I think they're both wrong, all right? I think that there's a third way. It's called the CIA. We don't need to send in the Marines. We can just use some psychological subterfuge. Okay. CIA sabotage. Like, where's he going with this? I really want to know now.
The way I view my own foreign policy.
I'm with you, by the way, for whatever it's worth. I agree with you.
Okay, good.
I don't know who set up that binary, but there are lots of choices, actually.
He did, Tucker. He just set up that binary. You're talking to him, and he just laid out this binary argument, and you're saying, I don't know who did that. Well, did you just get beamed into the interview?
I mean, people sort of naturally fall into, I think they want to classify people, and they're like, okay, you're one or the other.
He's like, yeah, maybe my binary argument was really wrong, and like, I don't mean to insult you, old friend. I will still my butthole for you.
You got to be all or nothing. And the interventionists, it seems, have never seen a country they didn't want to invade, and that doesn't make any sense to me. And the isolationists, I think, don't take...
There's like a few invasions we could do.
...the threats to America seriously, and I think that's naive and it doesn't work.
So the hawks and the doves. But you see, Ted Cruz is neither a hawk nor a dove, okay? He's a goddamn eagle.
And so my view, I consider myself a third point on the triangle.
He's like, I'm a secret third thing, says Ted. There's nothing worse when thinking that, like, I'm saying something funny and then somebody laughs and then I find out that they were actually laughing at something completely different. It's like, damn it.
What I describe that as is that I am a non-interventionist hawk.
He is a hawk. What are you talking about? I just laid it out for you. Hawks, doves. No, Ted, you're an eagle. You're a damn patriotic pelican. I mean, I can't believe we're hearing what this copium here, this buzzword salad. He's a non-interventionist hawk. He's a hawk too. He's like, I'm neither hawk nor dove. I'm a hawk. It's like, he's doing the meme. Like, I'm neither hawk nor dove. I am a secret third thing. Hawk. Can't make this shit up, man. You can't make it up.
Which sounds a little weird, but
yeah, it sounds like you're bullshitting us because you're a f***ing con artist, you dumb.
What do I mean by that?
He's like, let me pontificate on my bullshit right now. Here I go. Why is anybody listening to this dumb?
I mean the central touch point for you.
Did he really just say touch point? Didn't he mean flashpoint? Is it a flashpoint or a touch point?
Should be the vital national security interest of the United States.
Dude, this is what every hawk says. It's always for national security. He just did the fucking buzzword, man. He just did the thing. He did the meme. He's like, look, it's all because of national security. Okay, Ted Cruz, you are dressing it up, but it's still a turd. You can polish the turd as much as you want. It's still a turd. You're still a dumbass neocon imperialist hawk. You still support intervention. Every interventionist claims the reason for intervention is national security. That is nothing new. There's never been a time where we have intervened in another country and our excuse wasn't national security.
How does this make America safer? How does this protect Americans? If it does...
And when he says protect Americans and make Americans safer, he's saying protect corporate profits. How does it make more money for the people that put him in the position of power that he finds himself in? That's who he's talking about.
We should be strong. And actually, another way of conceiving what I'm saying, I'm speaking theoretically.
Yes, let's conceive it of a different way. Ted Cruz is pregnant. He's going to conceive. He's going to conceive for us again.
But Reagan referred to it as peace through strength. And actually, I think Donald Trump's foreign policy is very much what I'm describing, a non-interventionist hawk, where...
Again, so he's an interventionist hawk. Donald Trump has embroiled the United States in more wars than even Joe Biden, his predecessor. The world has vastly deteriorated in security, including the national security of the United States, which you claim to care so much about.
He understands that, and I think this is historically true, the best way to avoid war is being strong.
The best way to avoid war is to start wars. That's what the non-interventionist hawk, Ted Cruz, is really saying when you bake all the shit out of it.
That weakness and isolationism, I think, encourages war.
Being an isolationist encourages war. I think being an interventionist encourages war, wouldn't you say? You're starting wars. Aren't you encouraging war? It's like, look, me just going to the grocery and getting my food and then getting out of there without punching everybody that I see is only encouraging more violence. When I go out in public, I need to beat up everyone so that I can maintain the peace that was already there. This is absolute insanity.
I don't think I disagree with anything you've said, so we may not be that far apart, really, because you said that the single...
I love how they think that they're just so waxing philosophic. My God, we've ascended. It's like that meme where like the head starts radiating with just a profundity of knowledge and enlightenment. Like, wow, we are just sniffing our own farts, and this is just amazing. Wow, yours smells like roses, and mine? What do you think? Lavender. Yeah, see, we're not that far off. Wow.
The whole criterion for making decisions about America's foreign policy is America's national interest.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, which is also America first. That's another way of putting that as well.
Yeah, we start wars with everyone because we're interested in America first. That's why we have to send billions of dollars to Israel. That's why we pay for Israelis to have health care and school, okay? I want my choded pee hole to be very educated. I can't rest at night if I know my chosen people aren't safe, well-fed, and if they have professional medical assistance, okay? Otherwise, what's this all about? If I can't keep my chosen people safe at night, then what am I doing here in the United States?